Most people don't care about your problems. Most people don't care about your problems is a truth that can feel like a punch in the gut the first time it hits you. You grow up believing that if you suffer loudly enough, cry deeply enough, or explain thoroughly enough, the world will stop and pay attention. But the world keeps moving. People are consumed with their own struggles, their own fears, their own endless battles. They may nod, they may sympathize for a fleeting moment, but as soon as you walk away, they return to the chaos of their own lives. This truth doesn't mean people are cruel. It means they're human. Every person carries an invisible weight, a burden no one else can fully see. When you lay your problems bare, they might listen, but deep down, their mind is screaming about bills, heartbreak, deadlines, or secret insecurities, expecting others to carry your pain with the same intensity you feel it is setting yourself up for constant disappointment. The harsh beauty of this truth is that it forces you to grow stronger. When you realize most people don't care, you stop crying for attention and start searching for solutions. You stop waiting for sympathy and begin cultivating resilience. Your problems are not currency you can spend to earn compassion. They are challenges meant to sharpen you, lessons meant to mold you. Yes, some rare souls will genuinely care, but they are the exception, not the rule. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you stop leaning on fragile shoulders and start building your own unshakable spine. Life is not fair. Life is not fair is a reality that shatters the illusions most people cling to. You can do everything right, work hard, treat people kindly, play by the rules, and still end up overlooked, betrayed, or left behind. Meanwhile, others cut corners, manipulate, or are simply born into circumstances that hand them advantages you'll never touch. The world doesn't operate on fairness. It operates on power, timing, and chance. That's why tragedy strikes the innocent, why corruption thrives, and why effort doesn't always equal reward. The pain of this truth is brutal because it strips away the comforting lie that justice is automatic. Life will break your heart, test your patience, and hand you losses you don't deserve. Some people are born into wealth while others start in poverty. Some inherit beauty and health, while others fight against illness from the beginning. Fairness has never been the foundation of existence. It's a human fantasy projected onto a chaotic world. But hidden inside this unfairness is freedom. Once you stop waiting for life to be fair, you stop wasting energy on resentment and excuses. You realize the only thing you control is how you respond. The fact that life is not fair means you cannot predict the outcome, but it also means you are not trapped by limits. You can rise despite the odds, succeed despite the disadvantages, and carve out a path even when everything is stacked against you. Fairness doesn't decide your future. Your resilience, your strategy, and your refusal to surrender do. Accept this truth, and you stop begging life to treat you kindly and start demanding more from yourself. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Comfort is the enemy of growth because it seduces you into stagnation. Comfort whispers that you're safe, that you've done enough, that you deserve to stay where you are. It feels warm, secure, and deceptively satisfying, but beneath that softness lies decay. Muscles weaken without resistance, skills fade without practice, and minds dull without challenge. Comfort convinces you to choose ease over effort, but every time you choose ease, you trade long-term potential for short-term relief. The truth is that growth demands pain. It demands you step into the unknown, face failure, endure rejection, and push through moments where everything in you screams to quit. Growth is forged in discomfort, lifting the extra weight, making the hard conversation, chasing the scary opportunity, risking embarrassment and loss. That edge where fear meets effort is where transformation happens. Most people never reach their true potential because they cling to the familiar. They live in routines, repeat the same safe choices, and mistake stability for happiness. But what they're really doing is slowly suffocating their own greatness. Growth comes from struggle. And the uncomfortable truth is that if you're not suffering a little, you're not evolving. Comfort feels like protection, but it's a trap. The cocoon that shields you also keeps you from flying. To break free, you must embrace the fire, willingly step into situations that stretch you, and let discomfort carve you into something stronger. The life you want is waiting beyond the walls of comfort, and the price to reach it is paid in sweat, fear, and pain. Your feelings don't dictate reality. Your feelings don't dictate reality is a truth that slices through the illusions many people live by. Just because you feel something doesn't mean it's true. You can feel worthless and still be capable of greatness. You can feel unloved and still be surrounded by people who care. You can feel hopeless while opportunity quietly waits around the corner. Emotions are powerful, but they are not fact. They are fleeting states, shaped by hormones, memories, and perception. When you mistake them for reality, you let temporary storms decide the direction of your life. Feelings lie. They exaggerate fear when risk is low. They amplify despair when you're tired, and they whisper doubts when you're standing on the edge of growth. They convince you to give up too early, to retreat when you should advance, and to sabotage opportunities out of imagined danger. The brutal truth is that your feelings don't care about your future. They care about your comfort. And comfort, as you already know, is the enemy of growth. The world doesn't bend to your emotions. It moves on whether you feel ready or not. Reality doesn't pause because you're afraid, insecure, or angry. The deal closes, the opportunity passes, the relationship crumbles if you fail to act. Those who succeed are not the ones who feel fearless. They are the ones who act in spite of fear. Mastering this truth means learning to observe your feelings without bowing to them. It means anchoring yourself to actions, not emotions, because reality is built by what you do, not what you feel. Excuses don't change outcomes. Excuses don't change outcomes because reality doesn't bend to your justifications. You can have the most convincing reasons in the world for why you failed, why you didn't try, or why you gave up, but the outcome remains exactly the same. Life doesn't hand out rewards for good explanations. It hands them out for results. You can tell yourself that you were too tired, too busy, too unlucky, or that circumstances weren't fair, but those excuses won't put food on the table, won't build your legacy, and won't erase the emptiness of wasted potential. Excuses are seductive because they protect your ego. They soften the sting of failure, giving you a story to tell yourself about why things didn't work out. But every excuse is a brick in the wall that traps you in mediocrity. The more you lean on them, the weaker you become, because excuses shift responsibility away from you and onto the world. And when you're not responsible, you're not in control. Winners and losers feel the same pain, face the same obstacles, and encounter the same temptations to quit. The difference is that winners accept no excuse as valid. They understand that outcomes are all that matter. History doesn't remember who almost made it, who nearly tried, or who had a perfectly reasonable explanation for failure. It remembers who endured, who pushed past obstacles, who refused to let circumstances dictate their destiny. The moment you stop defending your limitations with excuses, you free yourself to fight for results. And in the end, only results speak. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything is one of the most brutal but liberating truths you will ever face. From the moment you are born, the world doesn't sign a contract to treat you fairly, to give you success, or to reward your effort. Life does not operate on fairness. It operates on cause and effect, action and consequence. The belief that others owe you respect, opportunities, or love is the very thing that chains people to bitterness and disappointment. Entitlement quietly poisons ambition because it convinces you that the world should bend in your favor simply because you exist. The reality is harsh. Nobody is obligated to support your dreams, to listen to your pain, or to hand you chances on a silver platter. People are far more focused on their own survival, their own struggles, and their own goals than they are on yours. This truth feels cold at first, but it is also deeply empowering because the moment you stop expecting handouts, sympathy, or guarantees, you reclaim full control over your destiny. You stop waiting and you start moving. Those who cling to the idea that others owe them become trapped in resentment, endlessly comparing, endlessly blaming, endlessly disappointed. But those who accept this brutal truth learn to create their own doors when none are open. They stop wasting energy on should and instead pour it into must. They grind not because the world owes them, but because they refuse to owe the world their wasted potential. When you fully accept that nobody owes you anything, you unlock the freedom to demand everything from yourself, and that shift changes everything. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to save you is a truth that hits like a cold blade across the soul. It's the moment you realize that no mentor, no government, no friend, no partner will swoop in to rescue you from the weight of your circumstances. The safety net you secretly hope for, the miracle that will solve your problems, is an illusion. People may care, they may offer advice, they may lend a hand for a moment, but ultimately, the responsibility to climb out of the pit rests entirely on your shoulders. This truth is brutal because it kills the fantasy of being saved. We are wired to crave rescue, to dream that someone stronger, wiser, or richer will step in and deliver us from our pain. But that day never comes. Even if someone helps, it will never be enough because no one else can live your life, fight your battles, or endure your demons for you. The sting of this realization is what forges warriors. When you finally understand that no one is coming, you stop waiting, you stop begging, you stop handing away your power, and instead grip it tightly with bloody hands. You begin to take responsibility, to build your own escape, to craft your own future. This truth is terrifying at first, but it is also your liberation, because once you accept it, you become unstoppable. You stop expecting saviors and start becoming your own. And in that moment, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start being the architect of your destiny. Most problems are your fault. Most problems are your fault because whether you admit it or not, your choices, habits, and mindset create the majority of the outcomes you face. It's easy to blame luck, circumstance, or other people, but doing so strips you of the very power to change anything. The brutal truth is that your life is largely the result of your own decisions. The risks you didn't take, the discipline you avoided, the warnings you ignored, the people you allowed into your circle. Every action plants a seed, and most of your problems are simply the harvest of what you once sowed. This realization hurts because it shatters the illusion of victimhood. Blaming others feels good. It absolves you of responsibility, but it also locks you in the same cycle, guaranteeing that your problems repeat. Ownership, on the other hand, is painful at first, but liberating in the long run. When you accept that most problems are your fault, you finally understand that solutions are also within your control. Of course, life will sometimes throw chaos at you, loss, betrayal, tragedy, but even then, how you respond is on you. Do you collapse and rot in self-pity, or do you rise and adapt? Most people stay stuck because they refuse to face this mirror. They'd rather cling to excuses than face the shame of admitting, I caused this. But the few who accept this brutal truth become unstoppable. By owning their problems, they also own their power to fix them, and that shift changes everything. Fear never goes away, you just get stronger. Fear never goes away, you just get stronger, and that's a truth most people try to avoid. Fear isn't something you outgrow or something that disappears once you hit a certain level of success. It will always be there, lurking in the shadows of every risk, every leap, every step into the unknown. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of humiliation, these feelings never vanish because they are hardwired into you. They are the instincts that once kept your ancestors alive, and they still whisper in your ear today, telling you to stay small, to stay safe, to stay still. The mistake most people make is waiting for fear to disappear before they act. They wait for confidence, for certainty, for the perfect moment. But that moment never comes. The people who move mountains, the ones who create lives worth remembering, don't wait for fear to die. They walk with it, side by side, and act anyway. Every time you face fear, you grow stronger. Every time you push through trembling hands, sweaty palms, or a racing heart, you send a message to yourself, I am stronger than this. And with each repetition, your courage compounds. Fear doesn't shrink, you expand. You become larger than the obstacle, heavier than the doubt, sharper than the hesitation. Fear is not the enemy. It's the signal that you're stepping into territory where growth lives. The strongest people are not fearless. They are simply the ones who refuse to let fear dictate their story. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline matters more. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline matters more because motivation is fleeting, fragile, and entirely dependent on how you feel in the moment. One day, you wake up inspired, ready to conquer the world, and the next day, you can barely drag yourself out of bed. Motivation is like a spark, bright, exciting, but short-lived. If you build your future on it, you'll quit the moment it fades, and it always fades. The gym feels easy when you're motivated. Work feels exciting when passion is high. But the second boredom, exhaustion, or doubt creeps in, motivation disappears, leaving you stranded. Discipline, however, is the steel frame that holds everything together when your feelings betray you. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired, unmotivated, or scared. It simply executes. It's showing up when you don't feel like it, pushing forward when your mind screams to quit, and honoring your commitments regardless of mood. Discipline is brutal because it demands consistency over comfort, but it is also freeing because it guarantees progress. The truth is, the most successful people in any field are not the most motivated. They are the most disciplined. They understand that the grind must continue whether or not inspiration shows up. They write when they don't feel creative, train when their body aches, work when the excitement has long burned out. That's why they win. If you depend on motivation, your life will be a roller coaster of starts and stops. If you master discipline, you build momentum that carries you through storms. In the end, motivation might start the fire, but discipline keeps it burning long enough to change your life. Discipline builds freedom. Discipline builds freedom because it gives you control over yourself in a world that constantly tries to control you. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you want whenever you want, but that's not freedom. That's slavery to impulse. True freedom comes when you master your urges, when you train your body and mind to obey your higher goals instead of your momentary cravings. The brutal truth is that without discipline, you will always be chained to laziness, chained to addiction, chained to regret. Discipline may feel restrictive at first. Waking up early, saving money instead of spending it, choosing the gym over the couch, studying when you'd rather relax, all of it feels like sacrifice. But every act of discipline is an investment, and those investments compound into a life where you control your destiny instead of being dragged by it. The undisciplined live in chaos, constantly fixing problems created by their own lack of control, while the disciplined build structure that opens doors others will never see. The irony is that discipline, which feels like restriction, creates more options. The person disciplined with money has the freedom to walk away from toxic jobs. The person disciplined with health has the freedom to live fully while others collapse early. The person disciplined in craft has the freedom to create opportunities while others wait for luck. Discipline is not punishment. It's the foundation of freedom. It's the bridge between who you are and who you could be, and the stronger you build it, the wider your world becomes. Life rewards action, not intention. Life rewards action, not intention, because the world doesn't pay you for what you meant to do. It pays you for what you actually did. You can have the most brilliant ideas, the most noble goals, and the most inspiring visions, but if they never leave your head, they rot there. Nobody is handing out medals for good intentions. The harsh truth is that the universe doesn't move for thoughts. It moves for action. Intentions are safe. They let you dream without risk, talk without consequence, and plan without failure. That's why so many people cling to them. They imagine the book they'll write, the business they'll build, the change they'll make, and in that fantasy, they feel accomplished. But the feeling is counterfeit, because in reality, nothing has changed. The body is still unfit, the bank account still empty, the dream still unrealized. Action, on the other hand, is dangerous. It exposes you. It opens the door to rejection, failure, and humiliation. But it also opens the only door that matters, the door to progress. Every step forward, no matter how small, shifts your reality in a way intentions never can. The person who acts and fails is infinitely ahead of the person who only plans to succeed. Life is brutal in this way. It only respects execution. Dreams without action rot into regret. But even messy, imperfect action compounds into results. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is not closed by wishing. It is closed by movement. The market doesn't care about your effort, only value. The market doesn't care about your effort. Only value is a truth that crushes egos. You can bleed for your work, stay up nights, sacrifice weekends, and give every ounce of yourself. But if what you create doesn't solve a problem, doesn't meet a demand, doesn't improve someone else's life, the market will ignore you. Effort may earn sympathy, but value earns reward. The world doesn't pay you for how hard you tried. It pays you for what you produced that mattered. This truth is brutal because it destroys the comforting belief that hard work automatically deserves recognition. People love to cling to the idea that sacrifice equals entitlement, but the market is blind to your struggles. It doesn't see the hours you worked. It only sees the result. And if that result doesn't deliver impact, innovation, or improvement, your effort is meaningless in the eyes of the world. The sting of this truth lies in realizing how much wasted energy people pour into being busy instead of being valuable. They confuse motion with progress, effort with effectiveness, sweat with success. Then they feel cheated when the world doesn't reward them. But the world isn't cruel. It's indifferent. The hidden beauty of this truth is that once you accept it, you stop worshiping effort for effort's sake and start focusing on outcomes. You learn to ask, what value am I creating? Who is this helping? Why does it matter? Because the market doesn't care how much you gave. It only cares whether what you gave was worth something. Success requires sacrifice. Success requires sacrifice because nothing great is ever built without something being lost along the way. Every achievement comes at a cost, whether it's time, comfort, relationships, or the illusion of balance. You cannot expect to climb higher without giving up the ground beneath you. The harsh truth is that while others are sleeping, you'll be working. While they're indulging, you'll be disciplining. While they're chasing pleasure, you'll be chasing purpose. Sacrifice is the toll the universe demands before it allows you entry into the realm of success. Most people dream of success, but refuse to pay the price. They want the body without the grueling hours in the gym, the wealth without the endless grind, the recognition without the countless failures. But success is ruthless. It only opens its doors to those willing to burn distractions, abandon comfort, and prioritize their vision above everything else. You will miss parties. You will lose friends. You will sometimes feel isolated while the world passes you by. That is the reality of chasing something greater than yourself. The sacrifices cut deep, but they also reveal who you are. They test your resolve, strip away weakness, and force you to decide if you truly want what you claim to want. Every hour spent in sacrifice is an investment, and every investment compounds into a future few will ever taste. Success is not handed to anyone. It is earned through relentless exchange, and the question is never whether sacrifice is required. It is whether you are willing to bleed for the life you say you desire. Hard work doesn't guarantee success. Hard work doesn't guarantee success is a truth that crushes the myth you've been fed since childhood. That effort alone is enough to secure the life you dream of. You can pour years into grinding, sacrifice sleep, sweat, and comfort, and still watch someone else surpass you. Why? Because success is not a simple equation of work in, results out. It is shaped by timing, strategy, opportunity, connections, and sometimes pure luck. Hard work is the foundation, but without direction, leverage, and smart decisions, it often leads to exhaustion instead of achievement. This truth can feel cruel because we want to believe effort is always rewarded, but reality shows otherwise. There are laborers who work harder than CEOs and athletes who train endlessly yet never break into the spotlight. Hard work is necessary, but it is not sufficient. The world doesn't pay you for sweat. It pays you for value, for results, for the impact your work creates. The emotional sting of this truth is that you could give everything and still fall short. But hidden in that sting is power. Once you accept that effort alone isn't enough, you stop blindly grinding and start thinking strategically. You learn to combine hard work with leverage, networking, adaptability, and calculated risks. You stop worshiping effort for effort's sake and instead focus on outcomes. Hard work won't guarantee success, but without it, success is impossible. The difference lies in how you direct that work, whether you're merely busy or truly building something that moves the world. Failure is inevitable if you aim high. Failure is inevitable if you aim high because the path to greatness is littered with broken attempts, shattered expectations, and painful lessons. The higher you aim, the steeper the climb, and the more brutal the falls along the way. People who play small may avoid failure, but they also avoid growth, achievement, and impact. To chase something beyond the ordinary means walking headfirst into rejection, criticism, and setbacks that will crush you if you're not prepared to rise again. Every meaningful pursuit demands failure as its admission ticket. The author who dreams of writing a bestseller will face rejection letters and harsh reviews. The entrepreneur building an empire will watch ideas collapse and investments vanish. The athlete chasing world records will taste defeat far more often than victory. Each failure cuts, but each also carves strength, wisdom, and resilience into your character. Without failure, success would hold no weight because it would require no sacrifice. What most people fear about failure is not the event itself, but the exposure, being seen as inadequate, being laughed at, being reminded they're not invincible. But the truth is that those who never fail are the ones who never tried hard enough to matter. Failure is not proof that you're weak. It's evidence that you're reaching further than comfort allows. The brutal truth is simple. If you set your sights low, you can avoid failure, but guarantee mediocrity. If you aim high, you will fail often, but each failure becomes proof that you dare to chase a life that actually matters. Failure teaches faster than success. Failure teaches faster than success because pain is a sharper teacher than comfort. Success feels good, but it lulls you into ease. It convinces you that what you did is enough, that you figured it out, that the struggle is over. Failure, on the other hand, rips away illusions in an instant. It exposes flaws you didn't see, weaknesses you ignored, and mistakes you were too blind to admit. Nothing burns lessons into your mind like the sting of falling flat on your face. The brutal truth is that failure humbles you. It forces you to confront reality without the cushion of pride. It makes you analyze, adjust, and rebuild in ways success never demands. Success feeds your ego, but failure starves it, leaving behind only the hunger to improve or the choice to quit. And it's in that raw space, when excuses die and accountability is all that's left, that true growth begins. People fear failure because it hurts, because it humiliates, because it feels like the end. But in reality, failure is acceleration. Each mistake slams doors shut so you can stop wasting time. Each loss teaches you what not to do. Each setback is a shortcut disguised as punishment. Success may be sweet, but it is slow to teach. Failure is ruthless, but it forges you quickly. The difference between those who rise and those who stay down is not whether they fail, but whether they choose to treat failure as a tombstone or as a teacher. Regret hurts more than failure. Regret hurts more than failure because failure is temporary, but regret lingers like a shadow that follows you until your last breath. When you fail, you feel the sting of loss, the humiliation of falling short, the pain of disappointment. But from failure comes feedback, lessons, and the chance to rise again. Failure at least gives you something to work with. Regret gives you nothing but the haunting weight of what could have been. The brutal truth is that time doesn't rewind. The risks you didn't take, the words you never said, the opportunities you let slip, all of them carve holes into your soul that no success can fill later. Failure fades into stories you tell about resilience. Regret festers into questions that will never have answers. You can heal from falling flat on your face, but how do you heal from never trying at all? People play it safe because they think avoiding failure will protect them, but what they're really doing is stockpiling regret for the future. They don't realize that the pain of embarrassment lasts a moment, but the pain of wondering what if lasts a lifetime. Failure is a bruise, regret is a scar, and scars don't fade. This truth is brutal because it forces you to choose your pain. Do you want the short sting of failure or the endless ache of regret? Those who understand this choose to act boldly, knowing that even if they fall, at least they will never face the torment of never having tried. Weakness invites exploitation. Weakness invites exploitation is a truth that exposes the darker side of human nature. The world is not filled with saints. It's filled with people scanning for advantage, consciously or unconsciously. When you display weakness, whether it's emotional dependency, lack of boundaries, financial instability, or insecurity, you signal to others that you are easy to manipulate, easy to control, and easy to use. Predators don't waste energy on the strong. They circle the vulnerable, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. This truth is brutal because it forces you to see how cruelty often thrives on opportunity. Bullies target the timid. Manipulators prey on the desperate. Abusers test how much you'll tolerate and push further each time you don't resist. The world doesn't always reward kindness. It often exploits it when it isn't paired with strength. Compassion without power becomes an invitation to be drained. The sting of this truth lies in the mirror it holds. If you are constantly exploited, it's not only because others are selfish. It's because you've allowed your weakness to remain exposed. You've given away control by refusing to harden where life demands it. But the hidden gift of this truth is empowerment. If weakness attracts exploitation, then strength repels it. Boundaries, resilience, confidence, and competence are shields that shift how the world treats you. The moment you stop bleeding weakness, the predators scatter. You cannot erase exploitation from existence, but you can remove yourself from its target list by becoming too strong to be prey. Entitlement kills progress. Entitlement kills progress because it tricks you into believing the world owes you rewards simply for existing. It whispers that your effort deserves recognition, that your struggles should guarantee success, and that people must bend to your expectations. But life does not operate on entitlement. It operates on value. The harsh truth is that nobody cares about what you think you deserve. They care about what you deliver. Entitlement locks people into stagnation because instead of improving, they sit back and wait, sulking when the world doesn't hand them what they feel is theirs. Progress requires humility, the raw acknowledgement that you are not yet where you want to be, that you must earn every inch, and that nothing is promised. The entitled mind cannot grow because it resists feedback, avoids discomfort, and hides behind complaints. Every moment spent expecting instead of creating is a moment lost to someone hungrier, someone willing to bleed for what you hesitate to chase. Entitlement also poisons relationships. People recoil from those who demand instead of contribute, who expect loyalty without earning trust, who want respect without showing it. It isolates you, turning allies into enemies and opportunities into dead ends. The world doesn't punish entitlement out of malice. It simply ignores it, leaving the entitled behind while progress rewards the relentless. The brutal reality is this: the second you believe you deserve something, you stop working for it. The second you stop working for it, you fall behind. Entitlement is the silent killer of potential, and the cure is responsibility. Life gives you what you tolerate. Life gives you what you tolerate because the standards you set for yourself become the boundaries that shape your reality. Every time you allow disrespect, laziness, or mediocrity to slide, you silently give permission for it to stay. The brutal truth is that the world rarely hands you what you truly deserve. It hands you what you demand, enforce, and refuse to compromise on. If you accept less, you get less. If you accept excuses, you live surrounded by them. If you accept unhappiness, it becomes your normal. Most people don't lack potential. They lack standards. They tolerate jobs that drain them, relationships that diminish them, habits that destroy them, and then wonder why life feels so heavy. But every tolerance is a choice, and every choice sets the tone for what comes next. The truth is that others will only treat you as well as you require them to, and your environment will only rise as high as you insist it does. Raising your standards isn't easy. It means confrontation, sacrifice, and often walking away from comfort. But the alternative is worse: living trapped by conditions you secretly resent. The day you draw the line, the day you say, "never again," is the day life begins to shift. Life doesn't reward wishes. It responds to limits. It bends to what you refuse to endure. And the harsh reality is this: if you keep tolerating less than you want, less than you deserve, and less than you're capable of, that's exactly what life will keep giving you. Respect must be earned, not demanded. Respect must be earned, not demanded, because true respect is never handed out like charity. It is built through action, character, and consistency. You can force people to obey you through fear, position, or authority, but that is not respect. That is compliance. Real respect comes when others willingly look at you and see strength, integrity, and reliability they cannot ignore. The brutal truth is that nobody owes you admiration simply because of your age, your title, or your self-image. If you want respect, you must prove yourself worthy of it. Many people make the mistake of demanding respect before they have shown discipline, wisdom, or results. They feel entitled to it, shouting louder, inflating their ego, or threatening those who don't comply. But this only creates resentment because respect can never be forced. It can only be inspired. People don't respect what you say you are. They respect what you repeatedly demonstrate when it's difficult, when nobody is watching, when you have every reason to take the easy way out but don't. Respect is earned in the way you treat others, in the way you carry yourself through adversity, and in the way you deliver on promises. It is slow to build and quick to vanish, and once lost, it may never return. That is why respect is so valuable. It cannot be bought, borrowed, or demanded. It can only be earned, and those who understand this truth don't chase respect with words. They attract it through the weight of their actions. People value you for what you can provide. People value you for what you can provide because at the core, relationships, whether personal, professional, or social, are built on exchange. This truth feels cold, but it explains why admiration, attention, and respect often vanish the moment you stop giving. People don't love you for your potential. your dreams, or your intentions. They love you for the value you bring into their world, whether that's money, knowledge, support, entertainment, or love. The brutal reality is that the world is transactional, even when it disguises itself as emotional. Friends drift when you no longer bring them joy or support. Employers replace you the second your output slows. Partners leave when the energy, affection, or security you once provided disappears. You are measured not by who you are, but by what you contribute. And while this truth can feel dehumanizing, it is also clarifying. It teaches you to stop expecting unconditional appreciation in a world built on conditions. But hidden in this harshness is opportunity. If people value you for what you can provide, then you can shape your worth by sharpening your skills, by becoming irreplaceable, by offering something rare that others can't ignore. The more value you bring, the more leverage you hold, and the less easily you can be discarded. This truth also forces you to see through illusions. Those who claim to love you unconditionally often reveal themselves when you have nothing left to give. And while that can break you, it also frees you. Because once you understand this, you stop living to be liked and start living to create undeniable value. Time is your most valuable asset. Time is your most valuable asset because it is the only resource that can never be replenished. You can lose money and earn it back. You can ruin your health and slowly rebuild it. You can even rebuild relationships after years of neglect. But once a moment is gone, it's gone forever. Every tick of the clock is a piece of your life dissolving into the past, and no amount of wealth, status, or power can buy it back. The richest man in the world has the same 24 hours as the poorest, yet most people squander it as if they have an endless supply. The brutal truth is that time is slipping away faster than you realize. The years blur into decades, opportunities vanish, and people you love eventually disappear. Wasting your hours on distractions, toxic relationships, and meaningless pursuits isn't just careless, it's self-destruction. When you waste time, you're not just losing minutes, you're sacrificing dreams, health, love, and potential you'll never see again. Those who treat time with reverence rise above. They understand that every second counts, that discipline today builds freedom tomorrow, and that focus is the highest form of respect you can give yourself. People chase money with desperation, but the truly powerful chase time because they know it is the ultimate currency. Every choice you make is a trade with time. You either invest it in something that compounds into growth, or you burn it in ways that leave you with regret. The cruel beauty of this truth is that it forces you to confront your mortality. You are running out of time, and how you spend it will decide who you become. Your comfort zone will kill your potential. Your comfort zone will kill your potential because it lulls you into a slow, quiet death disguised as safety. It feels warm, predictable, and easy. But beneath that softness lies the erosion of everything you could have been. The comfort zone whispers lies. Stay here. It's enough. Don't risk embarrassment. Don't face rejection. Don't push harder. And every time you listen, a piece of your potential withers away. The brutal truth is that nothing extraordinary has ever been created within comfort. Growth demands friction, struggle, and discomfort. The muscles you never strain remain weak. The ideas you never test remain fantasies, and the dreams you never chase remain regrets. Comfort convinces you to settle, but settling is simply trading your greatness for familiarity. Most people live their whole lives imprisoned in routines that keep them safe but unfulfilled. They mistake the absence of pain for the presence of happiness, never realizing they've chosen slow suffocation over true living. The comfort zone doesn't just keep you from winning, it blinds you to the fact that you're even losing. Your potential only awakens when you step into fear, risk, and pressure. That is where the breakthroughs live, where hidden strength surfaces, where the impossible becomes possible. But the longer you stay in comfort, the harder it becomes to leave, until one day you look back and realize you never truly lived. Comfort feels like protection, but it's really a coffin. The only way to unlock your potential is to break free, even if it terrifies you, even if it hurts, because the life you want will never exist inside the walls of comfort. Focus beats talent. Focus beats talent because raw ability without direction is wasted potential. The world is filled with people who are naturally gifted, brilliant minds, strong bodies, creative souls, yet most of them never reach greatness because their energy is scattered. Talent makes you capable, but focus makes you unstoppable. When you channel your attention fully, when you cut out distractions and pour yourself into one pursuit with relentless intensity, you outpace those who rely on talent alone. The brutal truth is that talent is common, but discipline and focus are rare. Everyone knows someone who could have been extraordinary if only they had committed. They had the intelligence, the skill, or the creativity, but they let their attention drift, chasing too many things, starting but never finishing, dabbling instead of mastering. Meanwhile, the one with average ability but laser focus continues to rise step by step until they surpass the naturally gifted. Focus is a force multiplier. It sharpens your skills faster, deepens your knowledge, and compounds your progress. 10 years of scattered effort can't compete with even 5 years of focused intensity. Talent gives you a head start, but without focus, you'll stumble before the finish line. This truth stings because it destroys the myth that talent alone is enough. It isn't. Focus is the weapon that turns potential into power. It's the choice to shut out noise, to say no to distractions, and to pour yourself so deeply into one thing that success becomes not a possibility, but a certainty. Talent is a gift. Focus is a decision, and decisions always win. Knowledge without execution is worthless. Knowledge without execution is worthless is a truth that crushes the illusion so many cling to, that simply knowing is enough. You can memorize strategies, master theories, and collect endless insights, but unless you take action, that knowledge rots inside you like food never eaten. The world doesn't reward what you know, it rewards what you do. A head full of untested wisdom is no different from an empty one when it comes to results. This truth cuts deep because it exposes why so many intelligent, educated people remain stuck while others with less knowledge surge ahead. Knowing how to build a business doesn't make you an entrepreneur. Understanding fitness science doesn't make you strong. Studying communication doesn't make you charismatic. Action is the bridge between knowledge and power, and most never cross it because fear, perfectionism, or laziness stops them cold. The sting of this truth is realizing that knowledge can become a trap. It fools you into believing you're progressing simply because you're learning. You feel busy, you feel productive, but nothing changes. You can drown in information and still starve in reality. The harsh beauty is that once you accept this, you stop glorifying knowledge for its own sake and start using it like a weapon. Even small, imperfect execution beats perfect theory untouched. Knowledge without execution is worthless because it only becomes valuable when it collides with reality, tested, sharpened, and proven through action. Until then, it's nothing but wasted potential echoing in your mind. Talent without effort is wasted. Talent without effort is wasted because raw ability means nothing if it's not sharpened, tested, and pushed to its limits. The world is full of people with natural gifts, those who are smarter, faster, stronger, or more creative than the rest. But most of them fade into mediocrity because they rely on talent alone. Talent can open the door, but only effort keeps it from slamming shut. Without relentless work, even the brightest flame burns out unnoticed. The brutal truth is that effort beats talent when talent refuses to work. The athlete who skips practice, the artist who never hones their craft, the genius who avoids discipline. They all end up watching someone less gifted surpass them simply because that person showed up every single day. Effort is the multiplier of talent, the force that transforms potential into mastery. But wasted talent is more than a loss of opportunity. It's a betrayal of possibility. To be given a gift and to let it rot through laziness is to deny yourself the life you could have lived. It is to watch others live your dream because you were too comfortable to chase it. And deep down, wasted talent haunts more than failure ever could, because failure means you tried, but waste means you quit before you began. Talent is a seed, not a tree. Without effort, it stays buried in the dirt, unseen and forgotten. With effort, it grows into something unshakable, undeniable, and unstoppable. The choice is yours. Waste it or work it. Luck favors those prepared. Luck favors those prepared because what most people call luck is often the collision of readiness with opportunity. From the outside, it looks like chance, a promotion handed out, a breakthrough moment, a door opening at the perfect time. But the truth is, if you're unprepared when that moment arrives, it passes you by, leaving you bitter and calling it bad fortune. The world doesn't reward wishes. It rewards those who put in the work long before the spotlight shines. Preparation is the hidden grind no one sees. It's the hours spent studying when no one is watching, the skills sharpened in silence, the discipline practiced daily. When opportunity appears, the unprepared call it luck, but the prepared call it payoff. The job offer comes to the one who already built the expertise. The chance encounter benefits the one who knows how to pitch their worth. The sudden opening is seized by the one who trained for it relentlessly. The brutal truth is that luck is rarely random. It is created. Life constantly throws opportunities at everyone, but most people are too distracted, too unready, or too afraid to grab them. That's why they call the few who succeed lucky. In reality, they were simply prepared to catch what others dropped. This truth is harsh because it exposes that missed chances aren't fate's cruelty. They are your lack of preparation. The world doesn't wait for you to be ready. It moves on. But if you are always sharpening, always learning, always grinding, then when fortune knocks, you won't need luck. You'll already be prepared to answer. People admire strength, not weakness. People admire strength, not weakness, because human nature is drawn to power, resilience, and the ability to endure. We respect those who rise after being knocked down, who carry themselves with confidence in the face of chaos, who refuse to break when life tries to shatter them. Strength inspires because it represents what most people wish they could embody themselves: control, stability, and the courage to keep going despite the odds. Weakness, on the other hand, may draw sympathy for a moment, but it rarely earns respect. The brutal truth is that the world is harsh, and people look for leaders, protectors, and examples to follow. They admire the warrior who keeps fighting, not the one who surrenders. They admire the individual who takes responsibility, not the one who collapses into excuses. Even in relationships, strength attracts because it makes others feel safe, while weakness repels because it radiates instability. This doesn't mean you must never feel pain or vulnerability. Those are human. But if you live in weakness, constantly broadcasting your helplessness, people will eventually turn away. The world already has enough brokenness. It craves examples of strength. Strength doesn't mean being unshakable. It means choosing to rise again and again, no matter how many times you fall. That persistence, that refusal to be crushed, is what makes people look at you with admiration instead of pity. Weakness may win attention, but strength wins respect. And in the end, respect will carry you further than sympathy ever will. Success makes you a target. Success makes you a target is a truth that pierces the fantasy many hold, that reaching the top will bring nothing but admiration and love. The reality is far darker. The moment you rise, the moment you separate yourself from the crowd, eyes begin to turn. Some will watch with awe, but many will watch with envy. They'll see your success not as inspiration, but as a mirror reflecting their own shortcomings. And envy, once ignited, often disguises itself as hatred, gossip, or sabotage. This truth is brutal because success doesn't just give you rewards, it gives you enemies. Strangers will doubt your worth, competitors will plot your fall, and even friends may secretly wish you would fail. The higher you climb, the more arrows you attract, because people rarely attack those beneath them. They aim for those above. Every victory paints a target on your back. The sting of this truth is realizing that success won't protect you from criticism. It amplifies it. Your mistakes will be magnified, your wins downplayed, and your motives questioned. People will invent reasons to discredit what you've built, not because you don't deserve it, but because they don't want to face why they don't have it. And yet, this is the hidden price of greatness. If no one resents you, if no one challenges you, you probably haven't achieved much. Success makes you a target because it sets you apart, and standing apart is the essence of power. The hate you attract is proof you've risen far enough to be seen. Your reputation can be destroyed overnight. Your reputation can be destroyed overnight because trust takes years to build, but only seconds to shatter. You may spend a lifetime crafting an image of reliability, loyalty, and strength, but a single careless action, a single moment of weakness, or a single mistake can undo it all. People rarely remember the countless times you did right. They remember the one time you did wrong. And in a world where attention is short and gossip spreads faster than truth, perception can kill you before facts even surface. The brutal reality is that reputation is fragile. It doesn't matter how pure your intentions were or how unfair the circumstances may be. What people see, what they hear, and what they believe becomes their truth about you. One reckless choice, one angry outburst, one broken promise can burn bridges that will never be rebuilt. And once doubt infects your name, it multiplies quickly, leaving scars that time alone cannot heal. This truth should not paralyze you, but it should wake you up. Every action matters. Every word you speak, every decision you make is a vote cast for the kind of reputation you are building. The world is watching, whether you realize it or not. The terrifying power of reputation is that it lingers long after the moment has passed. People will forgive, but rarely forget, and whispers have the power to outlive your defenses. Guard your name as if it were your life, because, in many ways, it is. Once broken, it may never be restored. Popularity doesn't equal respect. Popularity doesn't equal respect because being liked is not the same as being valued. Popularity is built on visibility, charm, and often the ability to entertain, but respect is earned through integrity, strength, and consistency. You can be surrounded by applause, laughter, and admiration one day, only to be discarded the next when the crowd finds someone shinier. Popularity is fragile. It feeds on attention. Respect, on the other hand, roots itself in who you are when no one is watching, and it endures even when the spotlight fades. The brutal truth is that many people chase popularity as if it were proof of worth. They bend their identity, silence their convictions, and become whatever they believe others want them to be, all to maintain approval. But respect cannot be faked. People may like the mask, but deep down, they know when someone lacks backbone. And when challenges come, popularity evaporates because the crowd admires amusement but follows strength. History is filled with figures who were adored publicly but forgotten quickly, while those who stood firm in their principles, even when disliked, were remembered with reverence. Respect is not about how many people cheer for you. It's about how deeply people trust you, even in your absence. This truth stings because it forces you to ask, do you want to be liked in the moment or remembered with honor in the end? Popularity makes noise, but respect makes impact. One fades with time, the other grows stronger long after your name leaves the crowd's lips. Most people lie, often to themselves. Most people lie, often to themselves is a truth that unravels the fragile fabric of human behavior. Lies aren't just the stories people tell others. They're the comforting delusions they feed themselves to survive the weight of reality. People lie about being happy in relationships that are dying. They lie about loving jobs they secretly despise. They lie about their discipline, their health, their potential. These lies are shields, flimsy armor against the pain of facing the truth that change requires courage they don't yet have. This truth is brutal because it exposes how much of life is lived in denial. People would rather distort reality than confront it. They say they'll start tomorrow, that they'll chase their dreams when the timing is better, that they're doing their best when deep down they know they aren't. These lies soothe in the moment but slowly rot a person from the inside out. The sting of this truth is in recognizing your own reflection in it. You too have told yourself lies. You've downplayed your fears, excused your procrastination, exaggerated your effort. The most dangerous lies are not the ones told to others, but the ones you whisper to yourself until you believe them. And yet, this truth carries liberation. The moment you stop lying to yourself, you regain power. Self-deception keeps you stuck, but brutal honesty forces growth. Most people will live and die believing their lies. But if you choose truth, even when it rips you apart, you'll live with clarity. And clarity is the beginning of freedom. You are responsible for your emotions. You are responsible for your emotions is a truth that strips away the comforting excuse that life and other people are to blame for how you feel. Emotions are real, messy, and often involuntary, but how you interpret, react to, and feed them is a choice. Blaming others for your anger, sadness, or anxiety hands them the steering wheel of your life and makes you a passenger in your own story. The brutal reality is that when you refuse ownership, you remain powerless, reactive, tossed by every slight setback and opinion that crosses your path. Owning your emotions doesn't mean suppressing them or pretending they don't exist. It means noticing the trigger, naming the feeling, and deciding what to do with it instead of knee-jerk reacting. That moment between stimulus and response is where power lives. When you learn to pause, breathe, and interrogate the story your mind is telling you, you stop being a puppet and become the author. This skill is terrifyingly empowering. It transforms blame into agency, chaos into strategy, and pain into a signal for action. People who refuse this responsibility stay stuck repeating the same dramas, allowing small insults to ruin entire days, and making decisions from temporary storms. Those who accept it become builders. They use emotion as feedback, discipline their reactions, and choose responses that align with their future, not their momentary fury. Emotion will always visit. Responsibility determines whether it destroys you or refines you. Your mind can be your biggest enemy. Your mind can be your biggest enemy because it has the power to build entire prisons out of nothing but thoughts. It whispers doubts in the dark, magnifies failures until they feel permanent, and replays your worst memories like scars you can't stop scratching. It convinces you that you're not enough, that the risks are too big, that the future is doomed before you even try. And because your mind speaks with your own voice, you believe it. That's the cruelty of it. Your greatest battles often happen within, invisible to anyone else. Left unchecked, the mind sabotages everything. It will invent excuses to stay comfortable, exaggerate fears to keep you safe, and twist insecurities into anchors that drag you down. It can make you abandon opportunities before you even take the first step. It can trap you in endless overthinking, paralyzing you with what if, until all you're left with is regret. But the terrifying beauty of this truth is that the same mind that imprisons you can also free you. The thoughts that poison you can be replaced with ones that strengthen you. Your mind is a weapon, and like any weapon, it can destroy you if you don't learn to wield it. When you realize your mind is both the villain and the hero, you stop being a victim of your thoughts and start becoming their master. The war is not out there, it's inside. And if you can win in here, nothing outside can defeat you. Self-pity is poison. Self-pity is poison because it eats away at your will to fight while convincing you that you're justified in giving up. It disguises itself as comfort, whispering that you've been wronged, that life is unfair, that your suffering makes you special. For a moment, it feels soothing, like wrapping yourself in a blanket of excuses. But beneath that warmth, it's slowly killing your drive, your resilience, your ability to rise. The brutal truth is that self-pity doesn't heal you. It paralyzes you. It convinces you to replay your pain instead of repairing it, to talk about your struggles instead of conquering them, to wait for someone else to fix what only you can. It turns obstacles into permanent walls instead of temporary tests, leaving you stuck while the world keeps moving. Self-pity blinds you to solutions because it teaches you to see yourself as a victim, and the moment you become the victim in your own story, you give up your power to change it. People may listen to your complaints, they may even sympathize, but deep down, the world does not stop for your sorrow. While you wallow, others are building, fighting, and clawing their way forward. The poison of self-pity spreads quietly. It robs your confidence, hardens your heart with bitterness, and makes you envious of those who refuse to drink it. The truth is, pain is inevitable, but pity is optional. The longer you indulge in it, the weaker you become, until your dreams rot inside you. Self-pity doesn't care about your healing. It only cares about keeping you small. Procrastination is self-destruction. Procrastination is self-destruction because every moment you delay is a moment you steal from your own future. It feels harmless in the moment. 5 more minutes, tomorrow instead of today, later when the conditions are better. But procrastination is not rest. It's not recovery. It's sabotage, disguised as comfort. Every task you avoid piles weight on your back. Every dream you postpone slips further out of reach, and every excuse you make becomes another brick in the wall between you and the life you want. The brutal truth is that procrastination is choosing short-term relief over long-term fulfillment. It's the quiet killer of potential, the reason people with brilliance, talent, and ambition die with their music still inside them. You think you're avoiding discomfort, but what you're really creating is regret. And regret lasts longer than any temporary effort would have. Procrastination whispers that you have time, but time is ruthless. The days you waste don't come back. The opportunities you delay don't wait for you. And while you're stuck in hesitation, someone else is moving, building, and taking the life that could have been yours. What makes procrastination so dangerous is that it feels safe. It doesn't destroy you all at once. It kills you slowly. It robs you of urgency until you look back and realize you've spent years standing still. The truth is simple. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's self-betrayal. It's you turning your back on your future self, leaving them to suffer for the comfort you chose today. You can't control others, only your actions. You can't control others, only your actions. And the sooner you accept this, the lighter life becomes. Most people waste years trying to bend others to their will, begging them to change, demanding respect, expecting loyalty, or resenting when they don't behave as hoped. But people are wild variables, shaped by their own wounds, desires, and choices. No amount of arguing, crying, or manipulating will ever force someone to act the way you think they should. The brutal truth is that the only leash you ever hold is the one tied to yourself. When you cling to the illusion of control, frustration consumes you. You replay conversations in your head, obsess over betrayals, and build expectations that collapse into disappointment. Every ounce of energy you spend trying to control others is energy stolen from improving yourself. And while you're busy drowning in resentment, life passes you by. The shift happens when you realize power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering your own responses. You can't stop betrayal, but you can choose how you rise from it. You can't dictate love, but you can decide your standards. You can't silence critics, but you can choose whether to keep building. This truth is brutal because it strips away the illusion that others are responsible for your peace. But it is also freeing because once you stop trying to control them, you reclaim control over yourself. The world becomes less about forcing obedience and more about building resilience, and that is where real power lives. The world rewards results, not effort. The world rewards results, not effort is a truth that strips away the comforting lie that trying is enough. You can pour your heart into a project, sacrifice your sleep, bleed yourself dry with endless hours of work. But if you don't deliver results, the world doesn't care. Effort feels noble, but results are what move people, markets, and history. A failed bridge doesn't earn praise for the hours spent designing it. A business that collapses isn't celebrated because the founder worked so hard. The scoreboard doesn't track effort, it tracks wins. This truth is brutal because it exposes how unfair reality feels. You may work harder than someone else and still watch them surpass you because their actions produced impact while yours produced excuses. People hide behind how much they tried as if effort is currency, but the world doesn't trade in effort, it trades in outcomes. The sting of this truth is that effort without results becomes self-deception. You can convince yourself you're grinding, that you deserve recognition, but if nothing changes, it's meaningless. Busy doesn't equal productive. Trying doesn't equal succeeding. And yet, this truth is also liberating. Once you accept that only results matter, you stop worshiping sweat for its own sake and start working smarter, sharper, and more strategically. You stop hiding behind effort and start demanding results from yourself. The world doesn't reward how hard you worked. It rewards what your work created. And until you face that, you'll remain stuck in the crowd of those who tried but never delivered. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent is a truth that both wounds and frees you. Everything you know, your youth, your health, your relationships, your success, your pain, will eventually change or vanish. The brutal reality is that time erodes all things, and no matter how tightly you cling, life will pry it from your hands. This is why joy feels fleeting, why grief feels overwhelming, and why people waste years trying to resist the inevitable flow of change. Permanence is an illusion we create to feel safe, but it has never existed. This truth can crush you if you fight it. You will lose people you love. You will watch moments fade into memories. You will outgrow friends, places, and versions of yourself. The world will shift, whether you are ready or not. But within this harshness lies an extraordinary gift, because if nothing is permanent, then no pain lasts forever, no failure defines you eternally, and no circumstance is unchangeable. Every chapter closes, and with it, the chance for another to begin. Most people suffer more from resisting change than from change itself. They cling to the past, chase the illusion of stability, and grieve the loss of what they thought would last forever. But those who embrace impermanence gain freedom. They live with urgency, love more deeply, and dare more boldly because they know every moment is fragile. Nothing is permanent, not your suffering, not your success, not even your life. And when you finally accept that, you stop waiting for forever and start living for now. Time doesn't heal all wounds, it just hides them. Time doesn't heal all wounds, it just hides them, tucking pain into the shadows where it festers quietly. People love to repeat the comforting lie that time erases suffering, that if you simply wait long enough, the ache will dissolve. But time is not a healer, it is a masker. It buries heartbreak under routine, covers trauma with distractions, and muffles grief beneath the noise of daily life. Yet the wound still lives beneath the surface, raw and waiting, ready to bleed again when triggered. The brutal truth is that scars don't form on their own. Healing takes work, facing the memories you want to forget, confronting the pain you'd rather ignore, and tearing open the infection so it can finally close clean. Time without action only numbs, it never cures. That's why people can still rage decades after betrayal, still crumble at the sound of a certain song, still wake up sweating from nightmares tied to events long gone. The clock doesn't erase, it only distances. This is why so many walk around smiling while carrying invisible fractures. They appear fine, but underneath, unhealed wounds guide their choices, poison their relationships, and haunt their quiet moments. The lie of time's healing convinces them they've moved on, when in reality, they've only grown better at hiding. Acknowledging this truth is painful but necessary. Healing requires confrontation, courage, and deliberate effort. Without it, time doesn't free you. It just teaches you how to live with ghosts. You will lose people you love. You will lose people you love because nothing in life is permanent. Death will take some, distance will take others, and time will quietly erode bonds you thought were unbreakable. This truth is brutal because love feels eternal when you're in it. Your parents feel immortal, your friends feel inseparable, your partner feels irreplaceable. Yet life has no mercy for your feelings. One day a phone call will split your world in two, or silence will stretch so long between you and someone else that the connection simply fades into memory. Losing people you love leaves wounds that never fully close. Birthdays pass with empty chairs, old photos sting like knives, and places once filled with laughter become haunted by ghosts of what used to be. Grief doesn't vanish. It becomes part of you, a weight you learn to carry but never drop. But buried inside this harsh reality is the reminder that love is precious precisely because it is temporary. Knowing you will lose people you love should ignite urgency to cherish them now, to say the words you hold back, to give the time you keep postponing, to forgive before regret makes it impossible. This truth shatters illusions, but it also clarifies what matters. Careers, possessions, and status all crumble in importance when you stand at a graveside or watch someone walk away forever. What remains is the love you gave and the moments you shared. You will lose people you love. That is inevitable. The only question is whether you will truly love them while you still can. Loneliness is part of growth. Loneliness is part of growth because the path to becoming your strongest self often requires stepping away from the crowd. When you decide to break habits, chase higher goals, or live by your own standards, you separate yourself from the comfort of belonging. Friends may not understand. Family may question. Strangers may judge. What once felt familiar begins to dissolve, and the silence of that distance can feel unbearable. But it is in that silence where transformation happens. Growth demands isolation, because true change rarely comes from doing what everyone else is doing. You cannot evolve while clinging to the same conversations, routines, and environments that kept you small. The late nights spent working when others are sleeping, the sacrifices you make while others indulge, the risks you take while others play safe, all of it creates an invisible wall between you and the crowd. That wall is loneliness, but it is also proof that you're moving beyond where they stopped. Most people run from loneliness, filling every empty space with distraction, but those who endure it discover something priceless: clarity. In the absence of noise, you hear your own voice. In the absence of constant validation, you build inner strength. The loneliness that feels like punishment is actually the crucible that shapes resilience, focus, and independence. The brutal truth is that if you're never lonely, you're probably not growing. The higher you climb, the fewer people there are at the top. And though the climb feels isolating, that solitude is the birthplace of the self you were meant to become. Life is a competition, whether you like it or not. Life is a competition, whether you like it or not, is a truth most people try to deny because it feels harsh and uncomfortable. We're told to be content, to avoid comparison, to simply do our best. But the world doesn't work that way. Every day you are competing for jobs, for money, for love, for recognition, for survival itself. Someone wants the same opportunity you're chasing. Someone is willing to work harder. Someone is ready to take your place if you hesitate. Pretending life isn't a competition doesn't make it less true. It just makes you weaker in the game you're already playing. This truth cuts deep because it forces you to abandon illusions of fairness and equality. The world doesn't hand out prizes for effort, only for results. The fastest, the smartest, the most disciplined, or sometimes simply the most relentless rise, while the rest are left behind. And while many complain about the unfairness of the system, others sharpen themselves to win within it. The sting of this truth is realizing that even if you opt out, you still lose. Choosing not to compete doesn't protect you. It just guarantees someone else takes what could have been yours. Life will not pause for you to catch up. It rewards those who understand the rules and fight accordingly. The brutal beauty is that competition also unlocks greatness. Pressure creates diamonds, and without rivals, you'd never know your true potential. Life is a competition, whether you like it or not, and the sooner you embrace it, the sooner you can rise above the ones still pretending it isn't. Mediocrity is crowded. Excellence is lonely. Mediocrity is crowded. Excellence is lonely is a truth that most people don't realize until they start climbing. The path of mediocrity is packed, full of people making excuses, settling for good enough, and clinging to comfort zones like life rafts. It feels safe, it feels familiar, and it's overflowing with company because most would rather fit in than stand out. But the higher you climb, the fewer people you find beside you. Excellence demands sacrifice, discipline, and relentless pursuit, and most aren't willing to pay that price. This truth is painful because loneliness is the cost of rising. When you choose excellence, you outgrow conversations, habits, and even friendships. People will resent your ambition because it exposes their lack of it. They'll mock your standards because it reminds them of their mediocrity. The crowd doesn't cheer when you leave it. It tries to pull you back. That's why excellence feels isolating. It's a space where only the obsessed, the relentless, and the unbreakable survive. The sting of this truth is that greatness often means walking alone while others laugh, doubt, or turn their backs. But hidden in this solitude is clarity. In the silence of separation, you discover focus, strength, and the rare company of those few who chose the same brutal climb. Mediocrity will always feel comfortable because it's crowded. Excellence will always feel brutal because it's lonely. The difference is that mediocrity gives you company today, while excellence gives you legacy tomorrow. Comfort is addictive. Comfort is addictive because once you taste the ease of safety, your mind begins to crave it like a drug. The warmth of routine, the security of predictability, the softness of familiarity. It feels good, and that feeling lulls you into a trance where risk feels dangerous and growth feels unnecessary. The more you indulge in comfort, the harder it becomes to step away from it. Slowly, without realizing, you build invisible chains around your own potential. The brutal truth is that comfort rewires you. It teaches you to avoid challenge, to flinch at uncertainty, to settle for less than what you're capable of. Every time you choose comfort over effort, the walls of your prison grow thicker. And the worst part? It doesn't announce itself as destruction. Comfort feels like peace while it quietly suffocates your ambition. Years can vanish this way, dreams left untouched, skills left undeveloped, a life left unlived. Comfort doesn't just dull your edge, it steals your hunger. It makes you forget the fire that once drove you to chase, to fight, to demand more from yourself. And when life eventually forces change, because it always does, you find yourself weak, unprepared, and resentful, wishing you had built resilience instead of clinging to ease. Like any addiction, comfort offers temporary relief but leaves long-term damage. The The only way to break it is to deliberately step into discomfort, to seek out challenge, embrace uncertainty, and stretch until it hurts. Because comfort never lets go on its own. You have to tear yourself free before it quietly kills who you were meant to be. Entropy wins if you do nothing. Entropy wins if you do nothing because everything in life naturally decays without effort. Your body weakens if you stop training. Your mind dulls if you stop learning. Your relationships fade if you stop nurturing them. Order requires energy, but chaos requires nothing at all. It creeps in silently the moment you grow complacent. Comfort convinces you that standing still is safe, but in reality, stillness is slow death. The brutal truth is that neglect always costs more than effort, because while you do nothing, entropy is busy dismantling everything you've built. This is why dreams rot when not pursued, why talents rust when not sharpened, why opportunities vanish when not seized. The universe doesn't reward potential, it punishes inaction. Time doesn't pause for you to get ready. It drags you forward whether you act or not. And if you refuse to fight for progress, decay will claim your body, your ambition, and your spirit. Entropy doesn't need permission. It takes your health while you binge distractions. It takes your future while you hesitate. It takes your relationships while you assume they'll always be there. Every day you do nothing, the silent erosion grows stronger, and by the time you notice, pieces of your life have already collapsed. But this truth is also a weapon. If entropy never sleeps, neither can you. It forces you to value momentum, to embrace discipline, to move even when you don't feel like it. Because the second you stop building, entropy starts winning, and it never shows mercy. The present is all you truly have. The present is all you truly have is a truth that slices through both regret and anxiety. The past is untouchable. You can replay it, mourn it, or glorify it, but you cannot change it. The future is uncertain, a projection, a fantasy that may never arrive. The only piece of time that is real, that you can touch, shape, and live inside, is now. And yet, most people abandon the present by drowning in what's gone or obsessing over what's not yet here. This truth is brutal because it reveals how much of life is wasted in places we cannot control. People replay mistakes that cannot be undone, holding on to pain that chains them to yesterday. Others live for someday, postponing joy, waiting for the right job, the right partner, the right moment, as if the future is guaranteed. Both lose the only thing they actually own, the moment unfolding in front of them. The sting of this truth is realizing how quickly the present slips away. Every second you spend consumed by the past or lost in the future is a piece of life you'll never get back. The clock doesn't pause while you daydream or wallow. The present moves relentlessly forward, whether you honor it or not. But inside this truth lies liberation. If the present is all you truly have, then every moment becomes a chance to act, to love, to grow, to change. Life is not waiting somewhere ahead of you. It is happening now. And if you waste it, it's gone forever. Your choices define your destiny. Your choices define your destiny because every decision you make, big or small, pushes your life in a direction, shaping the person you become and the future you experience. The brutal truth is that destiny isn't written in the stars. It's written in your habits, your actions, your daily commitments. People love to blame fate, luck, or circumstance, but the reality is that where you end up is overwhelmingly the result of the choices you make again and again. Each choice compounds. The food you eat decides your health years from now. The money you spend or save dictates your freedom or debt. The people you surround yourself with influence your mindset, your ambition, and your limits. Even the smallest decisions, the hour you waste or the hour you invest, are bricks laid on the path you're walking. Over time, that path becomes your life. The harshest part of this truth is that you cannot escape it. Even refusing to choose is still a choice. And passivity builds a destiny of regret, just as much as recklessness builds one of ruin. Every moment you hesitate, every time you settle, every time you avoid responsibility, you're carving out a future you'll be forced to live in. But the beauty within the brutality is power. If choices define destiny, then you hold the pen. Change your choices and you change your life. The question is not whether you have a destiny, it's whether you will shape it deliberately or let it be written for you by fear, laziness, and indecision.